All right. What's up, you beautiful people? Welcome back to another episode of the Twisted Wanderer podcast. I'm so excited today. We have Miss Teresa T3fitt. She is a personal trainer, but I'm gonna hand it over and let her introduce herself.
Hey, thanks, Jack. Yeah, my name is Teresa, and it's T3fitt because the three T's. So it's T3FITT, and the three is because my initials are three T's. Um,
Oh,
yeah, it's a
I
little
like
fun
that.
fact about my
That is
my
fun.
handle. Yeah, so my name's Teresa. I'm a personal trainer. I have scoliosis. I've been fused for over 30 years. I have Harrington rods. I had my surgery in about 81 or 82. Currently, I'm 53 years old and I live with no pain. My daughter was also diagnosed with scoliosis. Yeah, exactly. My daughter was diagnosed with scoliosis, I believe, at the age of 15. It was found by accident. I worked with her and a Schroth specialist, and her curves, and she was braced, and her curves have since gone down to a 16.9. I pretty much don't know anything else other than being fused because it happened when I was like 11 or I think about 11 or 12. And it's most of my life. So
Yeah.
I'm just, in a nutshell, I stay strong as much as I can. Some of that, which Jack, is with training with a mace,
Hmm.
which is a tool that is not anything new. It looks kind of wild, it looks kind of scary, but this tool has been around for thousands of years, and in its original form, it's called a gata. Um, in the westernized version, we call it a mace, but it's just a tool of core strengthening, full body cardio, all in one kind of package. You can compare it to kettlebells, but that's my jam. And with a former dance background, it's one of my favorite tools that I use because it gives me the freedom of movement.
Yeah, I was looking at it. It seems really, really cool. I'm like
Yeah, it's
really
it's fun.
interested. I was on
It's
your
fun.
website. I was like, ooh, wait, let's go on Amazon because you have a link right there. I was like,
I do. I do.
I'm becoming more and more curious about it because it looks like so much fun. I feel like it's been so beneficial for your life. And that's kind of what I wanted to ask you. How did you find your way to the mace? That's really
So
curious.
so it kind of as everything, it evolved when I'll just backtrack a little bit. From when I was 40, I had a sedentary job, and I walked by a window and I saw myself in the window and I said, who's that? Right. And I said, I was like, that's not who I am. And so for my 40th birthday, I signed up with a trainer and I said, I'm going to set a goal to lose 20 pounds. My weight at that time was 159, which for me is not comfortable. Um, and I set that goal and I just gave myself a number. I didn't give myself a time frame. And I said, once I get to 20 pounds, then I can think about what I want to do next. So I got to the goal, and it took me 6 months because I wanted to still live realistically and not, just basically like starve myself and get to that point. So I did that. And then I set another goal to lose 5 pounds. And I did that. And I set another goal to lose 5 pounds. And I did that. And I was at 130. And I said, I'm going to shoot for 5 more pounds. And I got to 125 and I said, now I have to stop because this is borderline dangerous for me. And I did that. And then through that, I said, if I can do this, I want to help other people do this. And that was the change of becoming a trainer. Um,
Okay. Very
and
cool.
it was, excuse me, thank you. It was, that was the beginning stage. Like, okay, this is what I want to do. And since that, and since the community of, being on social media has just kind of taken off and expanded, I really focused more on scoliosis and having a spinal fusion. And there were people that I had trained or met in the gym who would talk to me about, oh, you have a fused spine. It's like, you have the best posture. It's like, yeah, I do. But, what's going on back there is a very different story. Um, and then when I was at a gym, I got my certifications, and then I left the gym and I went out on my own. And I had signed up with a woman named Kelly Manzoni. She's Kel's Bells 88 on Instagram, and her mentor Paul, who's from Australia, and they were doing a workshop in New York. And I thought, I want to give this a try. They weren't, as far as I know, they weren't familiar with scoliosis. They weren't familiar with the spinal fusion. But I said, I'm just going to try it. And I was terrified. I was like, because the original mace, the Gata, it's a dowel with generally a concrete ball at the end. And I was holding it and I was like, what is this? What did I just, what am I doing? And I did it, and I kept practicing, and I kept practicing, and I kept practicing. And then I slowly discovered the circular motion of it, the opening up of the chest, firing your core muscles, and the meditation process of the mace. And that was it.
Yeah.
That was it.
And it feels cool.
Yeah. And it was just like, I just kept going, and I just said, I want more. And I look back at the first videos of me doing this when I originally didn't have a mace, and I had a body bar at the gym, and I was, and there's no ball at the end, and I'm swinging it, and it's like flaring all over here. And I'm like, I'm gonna, people ask, do you hit yourself? I was terrified. I was like, okay, I'm gonna swing it so far away from my body so that I don't hit myself. And I was, but I just kept practicing and practicing and practicing. And then there's also something called the steel mace flow, which is just moving more with the mace. And I did a workshop on that. I've also worked with another gentleman. His name is Rick Brown. And I did a workshop with him in California. So it's just evolved. And I've worked with people. I've been fortunate enough to work with people who in the spinal fusion community and the not spinal fusion community who have been open to training. Yeah, who have been open to training with the mace. And then there's another thing called the clubs, which are much smaller, which are still strengthening mobility work, just on a much smaller scale. But that's pretty much it. For me, it's just movement. Yeah, and to have to have the freedom, like dancing for me, it's very similar. So I can just, if I have some time in between clients, I go quickly to my roof, and I can just train for 30 minutes and I'm done.
Nice. That is really nice.
Yeah.
But it's so, you could bring it with you anywhere. It's like, it's really cool. It's like, it's kind of like just personal, like that it's yours, it's very personal. That it helps you get through like those tough days and stuff like that. And it's really beneficial. So I know it's really cool.
I know people who name their maces.
I definitely would if I had one.
They name them. I'm like, okay. But I've gone to I've gone to Florida to visit my daughter. I've taken my mace. I've gone to Costa Rica. I took my mace.
Nice.
I'm going to Puerto Rico. I'll probably take my mace.
Ooh, where in Puerto Rico?
I'm the other side of San Juan.
Okay, I don't know. Well, my husband's from Ponce, and that's like the opposite side. So okay. I just like to ask whenever I hear Puerto Rico.
Yeah, well, my grandfather is he's Puerto Rican. He's buried in at Old San Juan, where the where the famous cemetery is.
Yep.
He's there. So
he's there.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I come from an acting background, so I have some well-known
I was
people.
reading that about you. Yeah. Wow,
yeah.
That's
so
beautiful that he's there.
Yeah. So,
nice.
But yeah.
I know. I get distracted. I'm like, tell me more things.
He's have you ever been to Old San Juan?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So do you know the cemetery that I'm talking about?
Yes.
Have you ever been to that cemetery?
I believe so. I know the one that you're talking about.
So when you get on that road and you walk into the cemetery, you go through the tunnel and there's a piece right there in front of you with the three little people.
Yes.
That's my grandfather.
I have to go back now. Wow. That's
his name is Jose Ferrer.
Oh, okay.
So
Wow.
that's him.
Now we're even connected in PR. That's cool.
The world gets smaller and smaller.
It does. It does.
Yeah.
Especially with this like scoliosis community, which is so
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
And so you said you became a PT at 40, and then I read about your fusion afterwards, and you said you were so young, but you said that you made up like because of post therapy was so
It
like
didn't exist.
didn't really exist back then. Did you
No.
like do things like on your own at 11, like trying to come up with workouts? Like I was just
I
wondering,
I
how was
I
that?
didn't. I didn't. So my recovery was the only thing I was told about my recovery was don't go in the water for long periods of time.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. And I guess because the scar was so fresh and being in the water and could get
Yeah,
infected.
definitely.
But I was like, yeah, you're kidding me. I mean, I'm recovering. My father and stepmother had a house on a private lake. And then my grandmother had a house in Montauk on the ocean. And I was like, you can't tell a teenager she can't go in the
Yeah.
water for long periods of time. So when I was spending time with my father and stepmother, I would go out on a raft and just kind of
Okay.
like kick, and go and
Yeah, get
get
that
out just
feeling a
to,
little bit.
right. But I think by the end of the summer, they had rafts in the lake, that you would climb up and then jump off. By the end of the summer, I was climbing up onto the raft and I would stand up on the ladder and dive off and then swim to shore.
Nice.
Yeah, so that was pretty much, I think, the exercise that I did at that time.
That's a great one.
Uh,
Yeah, swimming.
yeah, but I had horrible visions of diving into the water and the rods going the other way.
Oh my goodness. I'm
So,
not like that specifically, but I relate to that. I
yeah,
was gonna
it's just
ask,
like,
like, do other people have that fear of just that disconnect, I feel
oh,
like, from
yeah. I mean,
yourself? Yeah.
even when I see people or pictures of people having their rods and screws removed, I have a hard time.
I don't think I could do
It's
it.
it's such a dark period. And I remember my grandmother said after my surgery, she was like, "It looks like we can just zip you up, and you can have them taken out." I was like, "You can have them taken out." Like I remember
Oh,
being in the recovery room and just lying down on my back. And then at that time, they would switch you onto your side for 2 hours on your back and on your side.
yep.
And in the recovery room, I had something digging into my shoulder. And I told the nurse, I was like, something's wrong. And she's like, no, you're fine. You're fine. And I was like, no, something's wrong. And then she's like, oh, the snap is digging into your shoulder. I was like, I told you something's wrong,
You have to like repeat it so much.
and
It's
like,
like, I know
yeah,
my body.
right. And it's like, I'm super sensitive. I just had massive surgery. And you don't, at that age, you don't know what's going on. And the knowledge
Hmm.
wasn't there. The support wasn't there, you know, and obviously the resources weren't there. And so it was like, I'm telling you, and nobody's listening. And then,
Oh,
in the hospital, like the physical therapy was getting up and walking. And I was like you said last
mm.
time, it's like, just, I
What?
just
Like,
give me a minute.
give me a
Just
minute.
give me a minute. So I would get up and like walk, little ant steps.
Hmm.
And I remember the first time I went to the bathroom and I saw the string out of my back. And I was like, oh, that was the moment where it was really real. And then so I was in the hospital for 2 weeks and they had the tape and they had to take the tape off. And they used acetone to take the tape off and they were pushing on my back, pulling it off. And I was screaming.
Oh my goodness.
And then I went home, then I went into recovery. And uh, at that time, the surgery was pretty new. So I didn't, it was just when you didn't have to wear a body cast for 6 months.
Okay.
So I had to wear my brace. They said, wear your brace if you're in a moving vehicle. which I did. But like learning how to pick things up, we didn't have those clampy things,
Yeah, I was gonna
you know.
ask, what do you just
Nobody
squatting
taught
or
me.
just
Yeah, nobody taught me how to move after that. It was like I literally learned to pick things up with my toes and put them in my hand. Or I don't know if I don't remember if I squatted at that time. I don't
yeah,
remember if
just
I leaned forward. I just knew that I could pick things up with my toes, and that was helpful at the time.
yeah,
Um,
definitely. Wow, I didn't
but
think about that because of
we didn't have,
like
yeah,
when you had it.
we didn't have any of that, and
Wow.
it was very different because also, it was like the information I think that my parents were being told about my curves was, oh, you're going to look like the Hunchback of Notre Dame. It's like, what? I was like,
Like
great,
just like
thanks.
that? That's what they were
Yeah,
saying?
that's what I remember
Yeah.
was the fear of, this is what you're going to look like if you don't do this. Um, and that was rough. That
Yeah,
was
that's
really rough.
especially for like you said, what were you, a teen? Like
Oh,
13,
yeah, it was
12
like
years
I was
old?
coming towards that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's such a harsh way of putting it for such a young girl to be going
Yeah.
through so much. Wow.
And yeah, it was hard. It was definitely hard. And, but my dad always says that, excuse me, I was always the person who, if you said I couldn't do something, he said, watch me. So I
Okay.
think I kind of, still did that.
Definitely. You definitely did.
And being in New York City, it's a place where it's really easy to keep moving, walking everywhere.
True.
And I lived in Germany for 7 years, and
Oh,
I rode
wow.
a bike. Yeah, I rode a bike there, and it was like it didn't matter what the weather was, snow, rain, freezing cold. I was on a bike, and it just to keep moving. Um,
Wow.
and that just it evolved into this world, and
Yeah.
training with a mason, working with clients, and as my daughter said, doing what I love.
That's really amazing that you were able to take like such, I feel like it's, like you said, it was dark and it was hard and I can't, it's just completely different than like my story and it's
Yeah,
beautiful and it's yours and it's definitely wasn't easy from what you're saying, but the fact that you've made all of this, like the fact that you are a trainer now,
yeah,
it's really cool that all of that has led you here. So my
yeah.
question
Yes.
is I've been so like inspired by you and by other trainers with scoliosis because
Mhm.
I didn't have that. I didn't have anyone to like look up to after surgery either. So with all this and like finding fitness again and finding it to be fun, I'm like really inspired to do what you're doing. So my advice would be like what's your advice for young women out there who want to be with scoliosis or spinal fusion who want to be a
Mhm.
personal trainer? What were your first steps when you realized like this is something I want to do with my life? I want to help other people like me.
Um, what would be my advice to those people?
Yeah.
Hmm. I'll follow my grandmother's lead on this. If it's something that you absolutely want to do, and that is doesn't necessarily have to be a personal trainer, but if it's in the fitness world, there are people who teach Pilates, there are people who teach yoga with scoliosis and the spinal fusion. If you want to do that, go for it. Go for it. Reach out to people, pull your sources, um, and if you love it, then it's not a job.
It's
Then it's
true. That's
not
the
a
best
job.
part.
It's not easy. The fitness world is not easy.
Yeah.
Um, and that should not be sugar coated at all.
Yep. I
Um,
just feel like I don't know anything about it just because I just really came into this. So I feel
yeah,
like I was
the
like, let
hours
me
can
ask
be
your
grueling.
expertise.
Yeah,
Okay.
the hours can be grueling. Um, so if you're in the personal training world, you might start at 6 in the morning and you might not finish till 9 o'clock at night because your
Yeah.
world can be you're starting before people this is also pre-COVID, you're starting before people go to work and you're finishing when people get out of work. And
That's true.
you know, you have to manage your time on that. You really have to manage your time on it. It's not a glamorous life by any means. You know, it's but you have to want it. And if you want it that badly, then go for it. Because it's not just about the physical space of being fit, but it's about the mental space of being calm and clear and finding your passion and living your passion.
Yeah, it's really, really, really cool. It's a beautiful thing. I don't know.
But
I just had no idea
yeah,
that,
it's not easy.
yeah, I
It's,
can't imagine that it is. So
I mean,
it's the
I
only
worked,
place I've never worked. I've never worked in fitness. I've worked in like
okay,
customer service, bartending, like stuff like that. But
yeah.
fitness, I feel
It,
like is this whole other animal I've not
I mean,
tackled.
I can give you, when I first started, the first 6 months, I was working 7 days a week.
Okay. Yeah, it's a
And
lot.
my daughter was, at that time, I think she was in grammar school. And I would
Wow.
start at 5:30 in the morning and I would I would take her to work. Fortunately, her school was right across the street, so I would bring her to school. But then Saturdays I would go to work at 9. She had a program that she did. Then she finished at 12:30, and then I would go pick her up, and then I would go back to work, bring her back to work, and work from 1 to 3. And she would always say, "Mama, what are we doing now?" I said, "We're going home." Um, it's
Busy.
yeah, but you have to kind of love also the busyness of it. You know,
Definitely.
it can be kind of scattered, but as long as you're really focused on it, you're fine. But
Okay. It
it's
looks
not
like
like
hard work.
not like it's not like, oh yeah, I'm, fit and fabulous.
I'm fit and fabulous in 5 seconds.
Yeah, that's not it at all.
It looks like it takes a lot of years, a lot of work, and just a lot
Yeah.
of like education for, yourself. But I just find like this just so new to me. I think like maybe in November I found out that there was a whole fitness world for
Hmm.
scoliosis and spinal
Yeah.
fusion. So I'm still soaking it all in because it's
Okay.
just had no idea that it was here.
Yeah. It's it's
It's
it's a lot, and I feel like this community is definitely growing.
it is.
And I know you've spoken with Beth, right? Beth
Yeah.
Terrano.
Yep.
Yeah, she's awesome.
She's
Uh,
cool.
and she's very specific with Schroth. And her curves haven't increased since she was diagnosed.
I know.
She tried the mace and the clubs.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, she loved it. She loved it. But
Okay. Cool.
it's a hard world, and but it's nice that it's growing. But I think that there are very few people in this world who have spinal fusions.
I agree. I agree. I've definitely noticed that. That's why like
Yeah.
it came to my head and I like saw your page and I was like, wait. This is an actual like she has a spinal fusion and she's doing this.
Yeah.
Because it's
Yeah.
amazing that people, they have scoliosis. It's great. It's a great community,
Right.
but it is, we still have scoliosis, but we're kind of like in our own little different box now because it
Right.
comes with more intense things and more intense care for your
Yeah.
body than,
Yeah.
so it's different. So when I found you, I was like, whoa, this is amazing.
She's literally just like me.
She's like me. Yeah. So it's nice. It's nice to see that because I
Yeah.
hadn't. I was like, all right, this is great. People are like, there's scoliosis workouts. Yeah, yeah. But no, you're the first one I've ever found with a spinal fusion. So it was just
Yeah.
it was nice. It felt just, like you said, like me. It's like fine.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
made me happy. So I'm excited. I want to order my mace. I think I'm gonna do that.
I'll send you all the information.
Yeah, I'm
I'll
gonna
send
do
you all the
that
information.
because
It's awesome. I mean, it's such a great tool.
it just looks
I can't.
like, and it's not like, I don't know, you can bring it with you. You
Yeah.
know what I
You
mean?
just,
Like,
all you need is, I have like a canvas ski bag that I just put it in and it goes.
oh, nice.
And then I just, obviously put it under in the airport because there's no way you can bring that on the plane.
Yeah, no.
They'd look at you like, sorry, you have to leave.
You gotta go right now.
But
That's so funny.
yeah,
Oh,
I wanted
I'm
to.
excited.
There was something I wanted to say and then I forgot.
That's all right. It happens to me all the time. I get brain farts.
But
Wow. I feel like I had one more question. And it's the one I didn't write down, of course.
we're in the same boat.
What were we thinking? What were we talking about? We were talking about the mace, spinal fusion. Oh my goodness.
I can tell you, with the mace, there's a woman that I work with. She actually just had a baby recently, but she's a cellist and she has a spinal fusion. And
And she had a baby.
this is her second. Yeah.
That scares me. Props to her. Props to all the women
Yeah.
with spinal fusions who have children. Oh, you had it too. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
I had,
It's like
but
just clicking with me now. Wow.
I had,
My mind is
but she trains with the mace and she said that her mother even noticed how her posture had improved.
okay. I got it. Yeah.
And that's
I,
that's the gift that I get when I hear that.
that's
You
beautiful.
know, it's like it
Awesome.
doesn't get any better than that. But the with somebody they were just talking about this a couple of days ago in a live. It was Laura and Beth, and people were asking about pregnancy and a
Yeah.
spinal fusion. I had a C-section.
Okay.
My daughter was born in Germany, and I was like, "There's no way you're touching my spine with an epidural," because I didn't know how knowledgeable they were with the spinal fusions there.
Yeah, they're better because
Yeah,
we're late to the game, I feel.
yeah,
Yeah.
we're always late to
But
the
I
game.
wouldn't have known that either. That's true.
Yeah, so I had told them, I was like, yeah, no. So but I had, with my pregnancy, I had no pain. Like I feel
Good.
really lucky on all counts. I don't live in pain. The pain that I had was obviously, after the surgery.
Yeah, for sure.
But I don't live in pain. I wasn't in pain
That's
during my
amazing.
pregnancy. This
Wow.
is what I wanted to say, and this might be
Yeah.
important. I know that people often ask, where we are fused from. I don't
Yes,
know.
thank you. You don't
I
know.
don't
Okay.
know. That, like I said, that time was really dark for me. I have trouble looking at X-rays of myself.
Okay.
If there's the slightest vision of my rods, it just brings me back to a time that there was a lot going on, as I mentioned.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had my parents' marriage was dissolving. My sister had died. Everything was like up in the air. And then scoliosis came in and nobody
Right.
knew, and surgery came in. And so, and the darkness of that, I don't need to revisit. What
I
I
agree.
live with is that I am not in pain and I know my limitations and I know what I can do and I know what I can't do and I know what I'm not interested in doing and I know what feels comfortable and uncomfortable. And that's what I work with.
I think that's awesome because you don't need to go back if it triggers or makes, if it
Right.
makes anything harder on you, you shouldn't
Yeah.
go back. You just
Right. And
move forward.
for some people, having those numbers and having that, it's important to them. It's not to me. It's just not.
And that's
I've been this
okay.
way. I've been this way for 40 years,
Yeah.
and
I feel like that's different too. Like,
yeah,
this just is me. I don't need to know like where it's from. This is just who
right,
I am. It's a
right.
part of you. And
Yeah, metal and all,
yeah,
and I don't, from where to where is not important. I can look at my scar and I can say it's pretty long.
Yeah, I love your pictures. I love
Thank you.
the back pictures with the ballet slippers. So beautiful staring at those
Thank you.
before we got on them. So I just wanted to say that. You have a beautiful scar. And I think you have a beautiful life. I mean, you've really
Thank
created
you.
just an inspiring story, and I'm just really grateful that you share it with us
Thank you.
and I found you. So
Thanks for letting me tell my story.
yeah, it's important. I want to ask. So no pain at all, any day of the
Correct.
week.
So the
That's
only
really,
time I
really
have
cool.
pain is if I sit like on a floor or something hard for a long period of time. That is when I have pain. And I will also have pain when it is excruciatingly cold.
I Yes, that's what I wanted to ask you because that is my problem. I'm in pain when I'm cold, but you have these things on your website you found. What is
So
that?
it's yeah, it's basically it's they're like in the training world, it's a waist trimmer. And I had a
Okay.
colleague at the time who wore it. She was competing for a physique, and she wore it, just to sweat and to lose. And I was like, I could use this for my back, and
So
that's what I
smart.
do. That yeah, and
And it
it's
keeps
really
you
funny.
warm?
It keeps me super warm to the point where I sweat.
Okay, I'd rather sweat than my back be cold. I hate
Yeah,
the feeling of my
yeah.
spine being cold. I don't like it.
And it's yeah. That's the for me. That's also like pain, cold pain. It doesn't serve me well, and it's funny because I wear a lot of layers, and I always have. Um, and I think that has to just do with like being in the ballet world 1,000 years ago. Uh,
Yeah.
like I'll wear two pairs of pants, and then I have on like five tops, and I have people are like, "You don't own a jacket," and I said, "I do, but I just don't wear it." So I'll wear like a hoodie, then a windbreaker, then another hoodie, and I am totally warm.
Nice.
And it keeps me mobile
Mm-hmm.
without feeling like I'm wearing one layer and just I don't
Constricted,
like
like,
yeah.
yeah,
So,
I
but
like that.
I get joked at with that a lot. They're like, "You're wearing too many layers." I'm like, "No, I'm fine. I'm very comfortable. Thank you."
I wonder if it's a fusion thing because I feel like I love layers instead of one big coat. I've always been like that, even like growing up in New York and like
Yeah,
just I'm like, no, I'd rather be able to take things off and like feel comfortable. Like
yeah.
that's I
I
get
always
that.
say it's easier to cool off than it is to warm up.
Yes, that's true.
So, with five layers, that's fine. It might be extreme to somebody, but for me, it's just really comfortable and normal.
You gotta
Um,
find what works for you.
yeah, but they call it, I think, a waist trimmer. But I
Okay.
just use it for back pain or lack thereof. Uh, in the bitter cold 20-degree weather.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, how's New York's weather right now?
Uh, actually, it's what is it? It's probably in the 30s. Oh no, it's springtime. It's 41.
Oh, look at that.
But yeah,
Oh,
this
good
week
old
we
New
had
York.
like 27 at one point, and I was just like,
Oh my God.
so. But it's yeah, the waist. It's called the waist trimmer. I call it, preventing back pain.
No, that's really cool. That's really
So,
clever.
and it's
I'm very excited.
yeah, it's easy enough that it hides under your clothes. It doesn't bulk, and it
Okay,
doesn't constrict you. It's not like some corset where it's like breathe.
yeah.
So it's
Okay.
very comfortable.
Yay. I'm excited. That's such a smart thing to do. I was like, what is this thing? They make things for spinal fusions? Like, no, of course they don't, not yet. But
They
that's
might be
like so
making them out there.
clever
Yeah, they might be making them out there somewhere. Just haven't heard of
somewhere.
them.
Have you
So,
used what are those things called? Because honestly, with all like I've said, like it's all so new. So like you said, Beth does Schroff, and then I find someone who does like scolio Pilates, and then I found
mhm.
you with the mace. So I'm just like taking all this information in. But have you used Like those beanie bags things?
The ones
Like,
that
I
they,
guess they're supposed to go under on convex or concave, so I'm
yeah,
like learning about that too.
yeah,
Have you
it's,
ever used things like that?
I have, and I have them for clients, and it's so, I can't, sewing, I can't remember the name of the company. I can send it to you, but I do have those.
Okay.
And they use those also with my daughter, when
Okay.
she did Schroth. And they're great. They come in different sizes. Uh, no, I'm stuck on the name.
Well, they're like props, but that's
They
all I
are,
know them to be. Like,
they are props just for, for kind of quote unquote leveling you out. Um,
okay.
but they're great. I'm totally stuck on the name, but yes, I have used them.
Okay, cool. I was wondering because I'm like, I haven't used like like I said, I'm just learning. There's so much now
Yeah.
that I'm like playing catch up, I feel with all the stuff that's out here. So it's really cool.
Her and said, sit down, stand up, and walk, and bend, and turn. And that gives some idea. I mean, you don't have to use a baking sheet, just something
No,
that's
but that's so
straight,
smart. Yeah.
something that's straight to give you some idea, and have your family do it with
Yeah.
because they will not understand. They just won't.
No, I know. They just won't.
Um, but when it's a community effort for everybody to join in to feel what you are going through, we did this, because even at one point when my daughter was doing Schroth, she didn't want to do it, and she said, "Mama, I want to have surgery," and I said, "No, you don't. No, you don't."
Oh,
So like we took the sheet, strapped it onto her, and she walked, and she sat, and she turned, and she moved. And I said, "This is how I am all the time." And she's like, "Okay, got it." So I suggested
yeah.
this to this other woman who was also named Beth before her surgery. And I said, "This can give you an idea of what life is going to be like." And
Wow.
I think it helped her. I think it
I feel
helped
like
her.
that's so smart. I'm gonna tell my person I was talking to do that. Maybe get used to it a little because
Yeah.
she's tried everything. Like she's now at the point where you get where it's like, I've exhausted all the measures. Like, unfortunately, spinal fusion
Okay.
will be a part of my story. So
Just,
she's in
yeah.
that area. So
Okay.
I feel like that
Yeah.
would be beneficial for her.
She wants to get used to it. You just like take a cookie sheet out and strap it on
That is,
and just
I know I
and just
already have
walk
one,
around.
but like I just want to do
But just
like
it's interesting because how do you, if you have a dishwasher, how are you going to get the dishes out?
that's true. I squat a lot.
Something's on the floor. You're going to be moving with a straight spine. How are you going to pick it up?
How are you going to pick it up?
Are you going to be used to leaning forward and picking it up, or are you going to now teach yourself to squat and pick it up?
Yeah. It's just all the things that they should go over after surgery and they
Yeah,
don't.
and they don't.
Even me. Like they just like, okay, PT.
Yeah, what was your version of PT?
Like not even like walking up and down my driveway.
Yeah.
A little bit of like, I remember this movement
Okay.
and then the yoga one where you do like one leg, opposite arm, like things
Oh,
like that.
yeah,
Basic
bird dog.
movements, but nothing really, I
Yeah.
don't not more than that. So
Okay.
I just finding things as I go. But
Just like life.
yeah, exactly.
Just like
One
life.
day at a time.
Yep.
I'm so excited. I'm definitely gonna order a mace today. I'm definitely gonna name it, and
Cool.
I might put googly eyes on it.
Okay. People, yeah, they people do all kinds of stuff with it.
I just feel like it's yours, so that's
Yeah.
fun. I feel like it's
Yeah.
cool.
The first one I got was really funny because the sticker, and I don't think they do this, I hope they don't do this anymore, it said 10 pounds. And I was like, that was the first one I bought. And the sticker came off and it said 6 kilos. I was like, oh, 6 kilos is not 10 pounds.
No. What
It's
it
12 to
it's
13 pounds.
oh my goodness.
And I was like, I mean, fortunately, it was fine, but
Okay.
like, come on, people.
Yeah, like 3 feet. It's a big difference. I know, like it
Yeah,
sounds small, but it's a big
yeah.
difference.
But that's
What
the other thing with the mace, is that, if you're used to lifting, if you have never weight trained before,
Okay.
then you start light.
And if you
The
have
mace,
like,
then depending on what your weight training is, um, I would say for you personally, because I've seen what you do, uh,
mhm.
the 10, you would be fine with a 10.
Okay, that's what I was thinking, but
Um,
I didn't want to be like
yeah,
too much.
that would be
Okay.
fine. But if it's your first time, then you go light, because any ego that we have, like, I can bench press this and I can curl this and I can lift this, the mace will take it away.
Oh, I'm excited. Okay.
The the mace the mace will the mace puts you in check.
Okay.
Because it's and that's, this might sound strange, but that's the beauty of it, right?
Yeah, no, I
Because then
agree.
it's like, okay, I'm strong, but this doesn't feel like anything, but I'm doing this with it. And it's very different than weights, than just,
Okay.
regular strength training, than traditional strength training. But yeah, if it's your first time, like, go light,
Okay, cool.
go light.
All right.
The heaviest that I've swung is 20 pounds.
Nice. Whoa.
And it's intense.
Yeah, how
It's
does that?
intense.
Okay.
The heaviest I've swung is 20 pounds. The most I've swung, so this movement, just the circular movement, it's
Hmm.
called a 360. And most swings I've done with a 15 pound. I did, I think, 600 swings with 15 pounds. And that was pretty much nonstop.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Um, yeah.
Wow.
So, but yeah, if you're, go light,
Okay.
go light. But like I said, for you, I think 10 should be fine.
Okay.
Um, and there's ways just to move and have fun with it. And like you said, you can take it anywhere.
That's what I'm excited. I'm excited to just have fun. I feel like sometimes you just need something that's not as serious.
Yeah.
Like,
And
a little.
it's also, people are interested. Like, if you take it in your, in your driveway and you start swinging, people are interested. And that's also, it brings a tighter community together, fused or not.
Yeah, I
And that's
love
really
that.
nice too, because you can
Yeah.
do it anywhere. You can go to the park, swing your mace, and have a good
That's
time.
so true. It's like when you're not in the mood to like be surrounded by people and go to the gym.
Right,
Like I definitely
right.
need something that's just me time without
Yep.
anyone. And I feel like
Hmm.
that's what the mace could be for me. So I'm
Yeah,
very, very excited about
yeah, yeah.
it. Yay.
It's a great tool, and it's not anything new. And people still
Yeah, I
use them in
know.
India to compete.
Yes,
Um,
that's really cool. I love
so
how I think I just love how like that's like the correct word for it. Like holistic it is. Is that
mhm,
the correct word? But yeah, that's what I love about it. I'm like, okay, like it's simple, but it's so much more. Like it looks like
yeah,
it's like I've read people's stories on your website. I feel like it's just really, really changed people's lives. So
yeah,
it's really awesome.
yeah. And it's in a way, it's kind of underrated, because people look at it and they're like, "Oh, this is such a badass," and it's like, but it's not. It's not about
Mm.
being a badass.
Yeah,
It
I could
might
see that.
look like it, and walking down the streets, it's kind of like, okay, but it's not about that.
But it's not. It's just
Mm-mm.
feeling safe and like comfortable, I feel
Yeah.
within yourself. So
Yep.
that's
Absolutely.
awesome. Hey, I'm so happy we did this again. I love
Yeah,
talking to
me
you.
too. This is good.
I'm like, I
Thank
need you to come
it's
to Florida.
well, I'll be down there in a couple of months visiting my daughter.
Nice.
So if we can make it work,
Yeah.
let's do it.
Is
Because
she
you're
on the
in
west or the east side? Where's
she's
she at?
in in Fort Lauderdale. She's in Davie.
Okay. I'm like the opposite side. I'm on Tampa. It's
Okay,
probably like 4 hours. That's not terrible. I
4
could always.
hours. That's far.
Well, like for me, I'm like, if you guys ever wanted to meet up, but not
Okay.
like, yeah,
We'll
but
figure something out. We'll
we'll
figure
figure
something
it
out
out.
because I know
But
she's like,
yeah,
Mama, you got to come down and see me. I'm like, okay.
I know. I think that's really cool that she does. So cool.
Yeah. 20 years old and still wants to see her mom.
Well, you're a cool mom. I feel like
Thank
you're
you.
awesome. So
Thank
yeah.
you. I try to keep it real.
Yeah. Well, that's why I appreciate it. That's why I was like, I have to talk to you more. I have to get
Yeah.
you on the podcast. So
Well, thank you for having me.
I love it. Thank you for coming here. I want to, before we end, just shout out your Instagram handle again so everyone knows where to find you or anything else you want
Okay.
anyone
So
to know where you're at.
it's T number 3FITT. My name's Teresa. I also have a website, T number 3FITT.com. You can see everything that we've talked about with the mace there. I'm also on TikTok. I think that's it. It's the handle is all the same.
Okay.
And the 3 T's are my initials. So that's a fun fact.
I love that.
But
I didn't know that.
yeah, it's Teresa Turatusher. So
Oh, yeah, you
and
do have 13.
and my
Very
middle
cool.
name is my daughter's name, which means woman of power.
Oh, it's
So somehow it
beautiful.
just it kind of fits. But I'm pretty accessible on all places. Uh, and if anybody has any questions, you're welcome to send me an email through the website or through Instagram, or I think Instagram's the easiest. I was gonna say
Yeah.
TikTok as well, but TikTok's always a little tricky.
I gotta find you on TikTok now. I didn't know you were on TikTok. TikTok. I'm
Yeah,
so old.
TikTok.
Ah, and you guys know me at the Twisted Wanderer on Instagram. But that is it for this episode, you beautiful people. I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Okay, let me cut this recording for a bit.